The substitute grabbed my interpreter, and everything snapped. My sign language interpreter raised her hands to translate, and the substitute teacher said she was fired. I walked into third period with my interpreter like I had 1,000 times before. But the moment the substitute saw the two of us walk through the door, her face tightened. My interpreter began signing as the substitute spoke, giving me every word. The substitute frowned and said, "I wasn't told there would be an aide in here." My interpreter answered out loud while still signing to me. Her hands moved back and forth calmly. The substitute muttered, "Great, special treatment." When class started and my interpreter began signing the lesson, the substitute suddenly stopped mid-sentence and stared at us. She said, "The constant hand movements are distracting." My interpreter kept signing. Then her expression changed as she signed the substitute's next words to me. "You're not really deaf. You're just using her as a crutch so you don't have to do the work." My interpreter stood up. Her hands moved faster now as she explained this was a legal accommodation, protected under federal law, and that the front office could confirm it immediately. Then she turned back to me and signed the substitute's response. "You're fired. Get out of my classroom." My interpreter laughed once. She said, "I don't work for you, and I'm not leaving. My job is to stay with my student." The substitute stepped closer. Her face twisted as my interpreter signed the words. "I've been teaching for 15 years. Kids fake disabilities all the time for extra time. I know a scam when I see one." My interpreter's hand stayed steady, but I could see a vein pulsing in her neck. "If you don't leave," the substitute said, "I'm calling security. I'm counting to 3. Then I'll drag you out myself." My interpreter turned fully toward me and signed as herself. "It's okay. I'm not leaving you, no matter what happens." That's when the substitute lost control. She stormed over and grabbed my interpreter's arm so hard her skin turned white. My interpreter tried to sign that she was being hurt, but only made it halfway before the substitute slammed her other hand down onto my interpreter's fingers against the desk. I saw one finger bend sideways at an angle that made my stomach drop. My interpreter collapsed, cradling her hand, her face twisted into a silent scream. I was frozen. The one person who had been my voice for 4 years was crying on the floor. I had never felt so alone. The substitute turned to me with a satisfied smile. She spoke slowly so I could read her lips. "You can hear just fine. When you want to. I've seen your type before." The room exploded. Students jumped up. Desks scraped. Faces filled with shock and rage. I couldn't understand anything, because my translator was on the floor. Then I saw movement. Bella, in the back corner, was signing to me urgently. She held up her phone. She signed. I FaceTimed my mom when the sub started yelling. She works for the district. She's watching everything. The substitute saw the phone. She lunged toward it. 3 students stepped in front of her. When she tried to push through, one boy shoved her back into a desk. Bella stood up and turned the phone around. A woman filled the screen, furious, already calling someone. The substitute went pale. She looked around and realized every student was standing. They had formed a circle around her. She was trapped. The principal arrived minutes later. The police arrived 20 minutes after that. They escorted the substitute out in handcuffs. My interpreter was taken to the hospital. She came back weeks later with her hand in a brace. She smiled at me and signed one thing. "I told you I wasn't leaving. Accessibility is